Another team missing the finals for different reasons. Essendon losing 7 of their final 10 matches. Their president, David Barham, spoke today publicly and weirdly thought it was an OK year.
I'm really happy with the year. I think we've had a really good year. I know we had bad last 2 games and no one hurt more than the fans and supporters and everyone sitting there. We all hurt because of those last 2 games. But the whole year there's been an enormous amount of progress at our footy club. Enormous. Personally, I think there's a really unhealthy obsession with Adrian Dodora. I really do. I think...
Why?
Because recruiting's not one person. Recruiting is never one person in one department.
The second referencing there being to the long-term recruiter, Adrian Dodora. What do you make of that? You're very supportive of David Barham last year, barnstorming his way into the footy club and demanding change. And now you've seen what's happened over the course of a whole season where they've again, in my eyes, been in a holding pattern, and the promises and pledges and pledges that David Barham made to change the place just haven't materialised.
Yeah, but sometimes things don't happen for you in the first year. So I think for 17 weeks, I think they had a good season for 17 weeks, but the last 5 or 6 weeks was a 77-point belting to Geelong, 41 the Dogs, 126 to the Giants and 70 to the Pies in the last round. So I think you've got to give Craig Bozzo and Brad Scott more time than just 12 months, Damo.
Well, do you also retain a director, i.e. Kevin Sheedy, who went public with his choice of James Hurd as coach, and do you allow that to fester and tolerate?
Yeah, well, that's for them to decide right now.
Would you?
Right now. Well, David Barham, what I love about
because I wouldn't.
He's a 4-time premiership coach, and also his head in the game has been very, very good. So if he did the wrong thing. He did the wrong thing at that time, but he's been on a tight leash since. And
I think
he's been good.
I'd give David a bit of a chop out there in that David Barham today because, it was so horrible at the start of the year. The CEO lasted 10 minutes.
But that was his choice too. That was David Barham's choice, and he didn't even last 30 hours.
I think he did the right thing, but I think just in the end he's got, there were some upsides to it. We probably didn't deserve to make the finals. But I'm not making excuses for him. OK, neither is Brad Scott. This really caught our ear. We talked about this on the Eddie and Jimmy podcast. Let's have a listen to Brad Scott in the press conference after the game.
I don't think it's a fitness issue. No. There's a difference between training hard, and I think everyone trains hard, to what an AFL lifestyle looks like. So that's the area I'm more concerned about and need to address.
Jimmy, was he talking to the media or who?
No, we always talk about who's the coach talking to. Is he talking to the membership base? Is he talking to the broader AFL? I think he's squarely directing that at the players. Come back, come ready to play, be fit, get your balance right. We're not saying it has to be all-consuming and you have to be a footy nerd and footy head, but absolutely understand what's required of you and in your position to go forward.
Well, the most disappointing part is that I was at the Essendon Best and Fairest last year, and here's Brad Scott speaking on that night about 10 or 11 months ago.
I met with the players for the first time as a group only an hour ago before coming into the room. It was a great opportunity to get them together. Normally they're on their break, so I don't get a chance to meet them until they come back to pre-season. But I talked about the opportunity we've got and that we don't have any time to waste. So the condition that the players come back day 1 of pre-season will tell a story in and of itself.
So maybe he was too nice himself in year 1, and he needs to be harder on those players because they haven't listened there, have they? Because he's questioning
in plain English, he's saying the senior guys are living the lifestyle of footballers, and maybe some of the young guns coming out of 2 years of quarantine with COVID, which I think we can draw a line under that now, are carrying on like 2 bob watches around the place and living a lifestyle that is not conducive to senior AFL football.
I strongly argue it's a completely wasted year. The David Barham promises this time last year, where this is the line being drawn on this behaviour, this attitude, this issue at board level, solidarity and player behaviour. It's a completely wasted year.
Well, I'll tell you where we'll be on the first day of pre-season. Down at the hangar.
Bring your runners.
Yeah, bring your runners. And don't turn up fat. Yeah. That's the thing. Did you ever turn up fat?
No, I was just always fat.